Okay, so next up is a Needs and Opportunities Grant, which is an example of how VCF can promptly address the needs of nonprofits throughout the Valley. Our Valley first responders need to be prepared for anything. When people are running away from an emergency situation, our brave men and women are running into it. The next grant shows that the ability to maintain constant communication with the appropriate personnel can sometimes be the difference between life or death. I would like to introduce Kyle Kelley of Seymour Ambulance to tell us more.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Kelley. As she said, I'm the Executive Director and the Chief from Seymour Ambulance. First, I'd like to thank Valerie and everyone at the Valley Community Foundation for the opportunity to speak tonight. Most importantly, for the $7,900 in grant money that was awarded to us this past year. Very quickly, I'll explain the makeup of Seymour Ambulance. We're a volunteer-based 501c3 charitable nonprofit organization in Seymour, the sole provider for emergency medical services in the town of Seymour. With our full-time staff of about 4 people, administrators in training, we have about 70 volunteers. And absolutely. These are the folks that are coming out every day and night in the rain and the snow, coming out to your house when you dial 911. Just like she said, going towards an emergency when everybody else is running away. Last year, our volunteers logged more than 18,000 hours of their time to help others on the ambulance. We're a standalone service. We're not part of the town. Some people believe we are part of the town and we're supported by the town, but we're not. We support ourselves. We do, however, receive a small stipend of about $65,000 annually from the town. However, we pay 3/4 of our utilities in a town building, so that kind of offsets it. It's a whole nother topic. So we're responsible for all of our operating expenses, utilities, daily office expenses, vehicles, all of our vehicles, ambulances included, which are close to $200,000 for a brand new ambulance. We need one, by the way. Radios, uniforms, everything. While we do bill for service, I know if you've been in an ambulance and you've gotten a bill, your insurance company's gotten a bill. Our last fiscal year, we wrote off $78,000. Okay, that's a lot of money for a nonprofit little Seymour Ambulance to not be able to collect. That being said, this is the reason we rely so heavily on the support from organizations such as the Valley Community Foundation. Over the past several years, the state has mandated some communication changes. We've had some upgrades, there's been some mandatory upgrades, and we're going through some upgrades as we speak. Last year, we saw the need to upgrade a number of our portable radios. As I said before, we have now about 70 volunteers, and that's up from last year from about 50. And we were not able to adequately supply our members with radios. Everybody that goes to an emergency, that's responding to an emergency, needs to be able to communicate. And we're able to do that. So I wrote last year for a grant, and the first quote that I received for, we'll say a Brand X radio, top level radio, was for about $7,900. And that was for 4 radios. After I got word that we received the grant for that month, for those monies, I said, we're getting bigger quickly. How can I expand on those dollars? How can I get more bang for our buck, if you will? And I looked into it a little bit further, and I was able to turn 4 radios into 10 radios. Which in turn enabled us to equip more of our members with the communication equipment that they needed. And that's very, very important. When you're out on a scene by yourself, you need to be able to communicate, as I said before. Long story longer, I was able to find, they were a different brand. They weren't the same Brand X. They were a little bit of a different brand, just as durable, digital capable, which we're all moving towards, which is part of that mandate that I spoke about earlier. some of which were a multi-band radio, which allows us to communicate not just with our folks in town, but with other services in surrounding towns that might be on a different bandwidth. So we were able to do that, which is huge. Some of you might be aware of the accident that we had a few weeks back, and we had mutual aid towns in from all different towns. So we were able to communicate very well because of that capability. Tonight I brought with me 2 radios. This first radio I'm going to show you is the radio that was initially put into service back in 2002, 2003 when we switched from our low band radio system to our VHF radio system. And this radio was currently in use up until a few months ago. And this is that radio. I saw your jaw drop. This was in service because we needed to make sure people can at least attempt to communicate. Once we got that money in for that grant and we purchased our radios, we were able to get this radio. And this radio is 10 times better, 10 times durable, and this is going to last us for a long time. So we were able to outfit our folks with these radios to ensure they have the right communications that they need. The difference is in quality and durability, compatibility, and the reliability is far better. While we still need to increase and replace more radios, we'll work on it and we'll get there. But we are, and we're moving forward and ensuring our members, like I said, that they're properly equipped is more important than I can ever begin to explain. And this has been truly wonderful for Seymour Ambulance. Once again, I'd just like to thank you for having me here tonight on behalf of myself and all of our volunteers at Seymour Ambulance. I thank you, the donors, and VCF for your contribution. We really, really appreciate it.